Greetings, my name is Odin from the Odin's Musings YouTube channel, and I'm here on behalf of Aura Crystals. Today I will be showing you how to create the Tubular Herringbone Stitch. This is a nice simple tube and rope that you can use to transition to much more fancier pieces, or even just use as a nice simple bracelet for your own. This is just a small step up from the regular Flat Herringbone, so I'd highly recommend checking out that video that we've done before. I can leave a link over in the corner up here or down in the description box below. For this project, we're going to be using 3 contrasting colors of size 11 Delica beads. I'm using this because these tend to show the shape of the herringbone a lot better, and it's nice to use 3 different colors to tell where we are exactly in our project. To create a bracelet or a necklace, you will need 2 size 6mm beads to make the anchor point on the end of our tube, as well as a clasp of your choice. Here I'm using a lobster claw and a jump ring. I'm also using a size D weight Nymo in white, but feel free to use a Fireline anywhere from 4 to 8 pound test. I am also using a size 12 beading needle, but feel free to use whatever you feel most comfortable with. You can find a detailed materials list as well as links to where to purchase supplies down in the description box below. And with all that being said, let us get started. Like in Flat Herringbone, we're going to be using a base anchor row of just ladder stitch, and we're going to start that off by adding on 2 of my color A beads, and we're going to pull that down our thread, leaving about an 8-inch tail so that we can put on our clasp at the other end. I'm going to then separate the 2 beads and pass up through the first bead so that the second sits next door. I'm going to pass my thread down the second bead, add on 1 color B bead. Since my thread is going down, I'm going to pass down to form a loop around bead number 2. So when I pull that through, bead number 3 sits in that row. I'm going to then pass up to add my next bead. I'm going to add 1 more color B. Since my thread is going upwards, I'm going to pass up through bead 3. Pull that tight to join bead 4. I'm going to go down bead 4, continue on by adding 1 color C, go around and pass down bead number 4, anchoring bead number 5 in place. I'm going to pass up through bead number 5, add on 1 more color C, pass up to anchor on bead number 6. Finally, I'm going to pass down bead number 6. These are going to be the beads that compose our base ring. Now, when making these, if you want to make one thicker, you can add just another pair of beads at the end of this. You always want to work in an even number of beads because herringbone works in sets of 2. However, you're going to have a minimum of 3 pairs as the ring won't work with only 2. So now, I have a strip. I need to transform this into a ring. So from coming out of bead number 6, I'm going to pass my needle up through bead number 1. This pulls the 2 beads together, and we start to form our ring. Now I need to finish that gap, so coming out of bead 1, I'm just going to pass down through bead number 6 again, in order to finish the join. Now I'm going to set up to start my next row, and pass up through bead number 1. And now I have my base ring. From here, I'm going to start my herringbone stitch. So I'm going to add on 2 color A's, and I'm going to pass down the second color A, pull that through so that my beads sit on top. I'm going to set up for my next stitch by passing up through the next color B, add on 2 color B's, rotate, and pass through the second color B so that that row sits on top. Rotate and pass up through the next color C in order to set up for my last stitch. Add on 2 color C's, go back down the next color C. Now stepping up in tubular herringbone is a lot nicer. All I have to do is jump up through 2 beads. So in this case, it's going to be row number 1 and row number 2. I move up, and from here, I can go ahead and begin my next row. So I'm going to add my 2 color A's. I'm going to rotate my tube and go down through the next color A on the second row. We're done with the lower column. We're just going to move up and work through the second row. So we have made our 3rd row there. We're going to rotate, move up through the color B on the second row. Add on 2 color B's, pass down through the next color B, only on the second row. Rotate and pass up through the next column C, only on the second row. Add on 2 color C's, go down the next color C, but just on the second row. And we will have completed our 3rd row. Now we need to step up, but we only need to step up through 2 beads. So I'm going to pick up the 2 beads on the 2nd and 3rd row. Now we're ready to begin again. So I add 2 color A's. I'm going to pass down through just the 3rd row bead, so that we add our 4th row. Rotate and go up bead number 3 over here. Add on 2 beads, go down just bead number 3 on the next column. Rotate and pick up bead number 3 on the C column. Add on 2 beads and then go down just bead number 3 on the next column. We will have finished our row, so now we need to step up. All we need to do is go up through 2 beads from the top. In this case, it's bead number 3 and bead number 4. And that is how you do the stitch. You go up in that manner. You always go through the topmost bead until you need to step up. When you step up, you go through the top 2 beads. Continue in this manner until you have gotten comfortable with the stitch, and then I can show you how to end your threads and add new ones. So this is another one of those stitches where it's very difficult to start because of how small everything is, but once you get going, this is a really easy stitch. Now when you're ready to end your thread, we'll only need to take a few steps in order to secure our thread in place. You always want to end up after completing a row. My thread is coming out of my color A, so I'm just going to go down the next column for a few beads, at least 4. Then I'm going to pass up my column B, go down a few more beads on column B, then finish up by going through the first column C. From there, I can just trim my thread. To add my new thread, I'm going to want to end up coming up from the first column A like I was. So what I'm going to do is count backwards 3 additional rows, because I will need to go down, up, down, up. So I've got my new thread, and I'm going to just go down a few beads in the last set of column B, pull that down, leaving a 1-inch tail, so that I can hold on to it in case something slips. Then I'm going to pass through a few more beads on the next column. I'm going to kind of draw this tight so I don't have to worry about clipping the ends. Then I'm going to pick up and go down a few beads in column A. Then finally move all the way up through the first set of column A. And from here I can continue on my stitch with my new thread, adding on 2 beads and moving down. Now to add our clasp, we're going to do a little bit of setting up in order to join these ends together. All we're going to do is pretend like we're doing herringbone, but just don't add any beads. So coming from column A, I'm just going to pass immediately down to the next one. Go up column B, pass back through the previous column A, go up, then down, then up through column C, go back through column B in order to make a loop between those two beads. Go back up through C, down the next C, up A, pass back through the previous C, and finish up at A. Now we're ready to add our clasp, so I'm just going to add my accent bead and my clasp. Go back down through the accent bead. Then I'm going to go down the next color A. It's like we're putting a herringbone stitch using these beads instead of a normal Delica set. I'm going to go up through B, go up through the accent bead and the clasp, go back down the accent bead, then anchor it through the next color B. Go up column C, pass up through the accent bead, through the clasp, back down the accent bead, finally anchor it with the last color C. Now you have your clasp attached. If you want to reinforce it, you can pass back up through the next column A, go up the accent, through the clasp, down the accent, through the next column A, move over to B, and repeat for both B and C. After that, you can finish your thread just like the way we've done before, and then you can add the other end of your clasp right where the tail is. And that is how you create the tubular herringbone stitch. Feel free to play with sizes and colors of this project. You can create a multicolored piece like this, or once you get the hang of it, you can try it out with single colors. I've done this with a size 8 seed bead as well as a regular 11/0 round, but you can even try making patterns within the tube by doing patches of colors and blocking stripes horizontally instead of vertically. So that will be all for this lesson, and thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to check out the description box down below for the full supply list, as well as links to where you can purchase materials. And while you're down there, feel free to subscribe to Aura Crystals for updates on new techniques and design ideas. And if you'd like to see more of my work, feel free to check out Odin's Musings right here on YouTube or at odinsbeadhall.com.